Alright guys, thanks for checking in Stormtopia.com and Stormtopia.com Facebook page. We're going to do our daily weather update right now. We're still in live storm coverage here at Stormtopia.com as the major Midwest storm is occurring and there will be mostly rain on the East Coast. Let's take a look at the latest radar imagery right now. Out of the Midwest you can see heavy snow bands in southeast South Dakota stretching back into southern Minnesota. Meanwhile, light to moderate snow across most of north and central Wisconsin and the upper peninsula of Michigan. What's going to happen here is as the storm moves off to the east, those heavy bands of snow in southeast South Dakota are going to rotate into the Omaha metro area and eastern Nebraska and begin to decrease in intensity as they head into Iowa later tonight. Let's take a look at the latest forecast model. You see here, by the time we make our way out into the late morning into the early afternoon hours, snow and moderate intensity sweeping back through eastern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota, western and central Iowa. Meanwhile, very heavy snow here for southern Minnesota, increasing in intensity through the afternoon hours for northern and central Wisconsin. Meanwhile, it looks like a rain event for the Chicago metro area, going to be a close call for the Milwaukee area. And then by the time we make our way out into the nighttime hours, snow begins to decrease in intensity for southern Minnesota. More light to moderate bands make their way on through Iowa and into northern Missouri. And by the time we make our way into early morning hours of Sunday, more heavier rain is moving up the East Coast with snow mixing in the higher elevations with more mixed precipitation, and that ends up being the case through the day with snow in northern New England. Meanwhile, still heavy bands starting to exit northern and central Wisconsin by the morning hours, and ends up being some wraparound snow for the Chicago metro area. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about snow accumulations in just a bit, but just taking you out a little further in time here, I'll show you the NAM model, and what you see here is I'll take you out to, this would be by Sunday, and what you see here is moisture off the East Coast moving northward, slamming into the Long Island area, okay, and this would be multiple areas of heavy rain just slamming into New England, with all rain it looks like though. Meanwhile, secondary low pressure center is back into the Midwest, producing light to moderate snow as the heaviest snow moves off into Ontario by later Sunday evening. And then still a couple of heavier bands of snow, and New England just gets slammed with some heavy bands of rain by pre-dawn hours of Monday morning. Meanwhile, snow, lake effect, and upslope snow coming back into the Ohio Valley, coming back into the Great Lakes, and then by later Monday, it seems as though the event will be wrapping up for the New England area, with a negatively tilted trough coming in across the Midwest into the eastern United States, possibly creating a Nurlan trough here for the Maine coast, creating areas of heavier snow along the precipitation boundary across parts of New England through the day on Monday into the nighttime hours of Monday. Now, let's take a look at what could happen here in terms of snowfall accumulations. I'll start you off with the Midwest area, which takes the cake in terms of snowfall. It looks like a solid 10 to 20 inches widespread from anywhere east of southern Minnesota back into northern and central Wisconsin, into the upper peninsula of Michigan. They're going to have to wait a little while for their snow, but the upper peninsula of Michigan will get a solid 10 to 20 inches, and then northern Michigan. Now, 10 to 20 inches is a pretty wide range, but going into more detail, here's the NAM model. The NAM is really impressive. It has over 18 to 20 inches for the Minneapolis metro area, and I know a lot of folks are calling for like 8 to 12 inches, around a foot, give or take or so, give or take a couple inches for the Minneapolis area, but you have to consider the possibility that once you get into these brown areas, there is a potential for not only a foot, but perhaps over 18 inches, close to 20 inches here, for the areas that see some of the heaviest banding in southeast Minnesota and into central and western Wisconsin. Also, of course, some lake effect enhancement here, downwind of Lake Superior, and as the storm moves into southern Ontario, there's going to be a wind out of the east. A wind out of the east, but it's going to be a cold wind because there's going to be also a wind out of the north coming out of the negatively tilted trough, and that will, of course, bring the potential for more lake enhancement across parts of northeast Michigan on the order of 20 inches. Around Alpena, Michigan, and then once you get on in towards the northeast, Looks like primarily light snow, a couple areas of heavier snow in the mountains, including the Mount Washington Valley. Probably 3 to 6 inches in those areas, and then maybe 3 to 6 inches for parts of the southern and central Appalachians, and probably 1 to 3 inches for much of the Ohio Valley on the back end of the storm. Obviously, heavier snow southeast of Lake Michigan and south of Lake Erie. So, it was kind of a long forecast video, but I hope you enjoyed it. Please spread the word about our website, and have a great day.